All right. Let's start looking at this. So we've got that Jordan's depositing $7,000 into an account that pays 3.2% interest. We want to know the value after 9 years. What do we do? Or how do we set it up? We start with 7,000. Whenever 7,000. What are we going to do from there? Say it again? Go for it, Aiden. Uh-huh. Super duper close. 1 plus what over?
3.2.
What? What do I need to do with this guy? Almost. There we go. Percent. Think per 100. So 3.2 divided by 100, we get 0.032. Yep, so for our monthly, we're going to do the 12. So we'll have a 12 here, we'll have a 12 here. What do I multiply this 12 by? The 9. So that's something we're typing in the calculator here. And we can type it in just like this. 7,000. So I hit all the right buttons. What do we get when we do this? Because they told us to compound monthly. So what do we get when we compound this monthly?
9,332 and
72 cents. What is going to be different for when they say compounding quarterly? What are we changing in our equation? The n. So we're going to change our 12 to be instead a 4. Yes. So the difference between compounding monthly and compounding quarterly is that this 12 is going to become a 4. And this 12 is going to become a 4. So what is our balance if we compound quarterly? And 61 cents. Good. Questions on those two? Okay, the bottom ones are simplifying using some of our exponential rules. And it's got e's in them. Doesn't matter that they're e's, treat them just like they're x's. Simplifying these pieces together, we're going to wind up with e to the what on the first one? 7. Because we're adding these exponents together. 3 plus -4 plus 8. So we wind up with e to the 7th. Whenever we multiply the bases, we add those exponents. On this right-hand one, now we have powers over powers. So what do we need to do with this guy? Bless you. So we may need to do this one in a couple of steps. Because what are we going to wind up with? It's okay if we don't wind up with the exact answer here. What pieces are being multiplied? I was going to say, these two guys are being multiplied, so good catch on that, because this guy needs to get a power of 3, and this guy needs to get a power of 3. This is one of those pieces that feels like distribution. So we're gonna have our 2 to the third and our e to the 5x to the third. What am I gonna do with the 5x and the 3? What operation is gonna happen when I take a power to a power? Are we gonna add, subtract, multiply, divide?
Multiply.
Multiply. When we are multiplying down here, that's when we add the bases. If I have powers to powers, we multiply. So our final answer here, what is 2 to the third?
6.
That's 2 times 3.
No, that's brain is
Brain.
thinking other
Understood.
things. 8.
8. 2 times 2 gives me 4, times 2 gives me 8. E to the what? 5x times 3. 15x. And that's as simplified as we can go on that. That's our answer here. And that's our answer here.
Are they fighting again? Is that why you're over there?
No, I was just trying to make sure that like things were actually opening properly, and my DC one was being grumpy on importing, so I was just trying to get moving while it was still grumping. I'll move over there in just a second. Oop. I was going to first ask, do we have any questions on this before we went into our first example that we're going to do today? Because we're going to do 3 more kind of stories together. I didn't print them out. They're not super long. But I want us to practice some more with these banking ones and see sometimes we're going to have things that use these equations that aren't banking. Shocking.
You don't have tissues?
I have none tissues. Closest I got is Lysol wipes and hand sanitizer wipes.
Am I allowed to throw these away?
I mean, it's a towel. I was like, are you needing?
I need tissue.
I was gonna say, I can send you to the bathroom.
No, it's fine. I'll just deal with it.
So,
What is that?
this will be our first one that we're gonna do.
No.
Oh, where is it?
So do we have homework?
The same one I gave you guys like Wednesday, Tuesday? I don't remember. Homework 2. Yeah, homework. We've had 2 in this chapter. 1 and 2. They're both in the folder up there. Third one. All right. So here's our first one that we're gonna do. We've done things like this. We've got $2,750 and an account that pays 9.2% interest. We're finding it in 15 years, compounded in these 3 different ways. We're looking continuously, monthly, and annually. Okay. So, this is very much like the bun we just did in the bell work, honestly. Super duper close to it. We're going to set it up exactly the same way. Annually is going to be just 1, yes. So it's using that same equation. You guys filled it in beautifully on the bell work. That's when we have this guy. Let's put it up here. What's up?
This continuously, we don't do that little fraction thing inside the parentheses, right?
Correct. When it is continuously, that's the special form.
And how do you know when it's continuous? It's like it'll say.
We will tell you continuously. Like, that word will be there, or it'll be one of the stories like we're talking about here today. So, this is just to get us to remember, because, it's been a minute. So this has a lot of those same pieces, and these 2 set up exactly the same way we did the ones in the bell work, so kind of oozing our way into it today. Where we've got our principal. What's our principal going to be, that starting amount? Yeah, our $2,750. We've got that our account is growing because the account pays interest. It gives us interest. So we're gonna use that plus. What are we putting as our rate? There you go, 0.092. Make sure we switch it to be a decimal. 0.092. For our annually, that's when we're gonna have that 1 as our n. And so we're gonna go to the 1 times our time, which is that 15 years. So just like we had in the bell work, type those pieces in. What do we get as our balance?
$10,296.9.
Yep, so compounding annually, we get $10,000, 296, $10,296, because I like to read if I put dollars in the middle there, and 9 cents. When we switch to doing this monthly, what is the only part of our equation here that's going to change? The n. So on the last one, we had an n of 1. Now it's going to turn into what? 12. Everything else stays the same. Just instead of that 1, we're going to have a 12. So we're going to have our 12 times 15 here. So what do we get as our balance compounded monthly?
$1,873.
Mm-hmm. And 60 cents.
I thought he said 66 for a minute. I was like,
60 cents. All right, so those two use that same equation we used in the bell work. Then we have our continuously. What's that equation again? PERT. P-E to the R-T. PERT. So the P is the same, so we're still going to use our 2,750. E is a button on our calculator. We use the same R we used on the others, 0.092. And that same unit of time, 15. So all the same pieces, we just type it in the calculator really, really differently. 2750. To get to our E, we hit that green button and then we hit the LN button. That gets us our E and kicks us up into the exponent. Then we put in our rate times our time, and what do we get as our balance compounded continuously?
10,930 and 98 cents. I saw that.
So on the calculator, you hit the green button on the top left and then 2 buttons down for it where it has the LN. That's where we get the E from. Okay. So these are the kind of ones we worked on Tuesday or Wednesday. Last time I saw you. That stuff. Whatever that day was. Words are fun.
I know, right?
Okay, so I want us to see a couple other kinds of situations that we may see. Not everything will be banking. Sometimes we go science.
Oh. I don't know how to feel about this.
That's okay. We're ready to do it. So we've got that a cup of coffee. Yay, coffee. It's placed outside where the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius. Gross. That's cold. The coffee cools. Whoa. Hello. a continuous, there we go, I guess this is a big old clue right there, rate of 4% per minute. The coffee starts at 53.4, and we want to know what the coffee is going to be in 10 minutes. What temperature? I didn't realize I 100% forgot to mark our 10 minutes. So, I'm going to do that real fast.
I don't know what these degrees are in Fahrenheit.
Does it matter?
I know, but my brain automatically wants it to be Fahrenheit.
So for reference, in Celsius, 0 degrees is freezing, so that would be 32 Fahrenheit. And 100 degrees Celsius is boiling, so 50 is about halfway. For Fahrenheit, boiling is 212, so it would be just over 100, probably about 120 degrees-ish. Sufficiently hot.
That's like boiling.
It's halfway to boiling,
I don't like that.
because in Celsius, 100 is boiling. 53 is halfway to boiling. Halfway between frozen and boiling. Okay. So, what words do we see in here that are probably going to be important for us? Continuously. That tells us we're probably going to use which equation? PERT. When we see continuous like that, think PERT. Which means these are the pieces we're looking for.
Does it matter then?
No. Sometimes they give us extra information. What parts do we need to have?
53.4.
The 53.4, our 4, and the 10. Those are the 3 pieces we need. What is the 53.4 in my PERT? I was going to say, where am I going to put this? That's my P. That was my starting temperature. So we're going to start this with our 53.4. My E, that's our button on our calculator. What goes in for the R? Yes. We take our 4%, 0.04, and times 10. So I want us to look at that and see if that makes sense with this story.
No, because I did it in the calculator.
So if we do it just like this in our calculator and we take our, what was it, 53.4? To get our E, second, and then our ln button, or 0.04 times 10. Why doesn't this make sense? Because it got hotter. Shoot. How do I change that? This is trying to grow when I type it like this. Make it negative. Our rate is not going up 4%. It's going down. The only problem with PERT is it doesn't give us a plus or minus to think about. So if we have a PERT that is going to decrease, what we have to do is we have to take, sorry, getting a different color. Fine. It cools, it's decreasing. That means I need to make my rate be negative. So this is going to be a minus 0.04. Normally when we do it in the parentheses, that's what the plus and minus are for. Is we're either adding to the 1 to go up or we're subtracting from the 1 to go down. In PERT, since we don't have the 1 plus, we have to kind of do it manually. So if we do it that way, and we get our 53.4, to get to our E again, that's the second button, and then the ln button right there, to the minus 0.04 times 10? Yeah, 10. Does that make a little more sense to the story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're at 35.795, 35.8. What are we doing?
I would say 35.8.
I would also say 35.8. So 35.8 degrees. Okay, so that's like, we're only really gonna see minuses in E when we're talking more science-y side of stuff. Banking stuff doesn't really use compounding continuously and taking away, because it means they get the absolute least amount of interest from us. They don't really want that. Okay, but we'll see this in things like these science questions. Sometimes. Not always. Okay. Questions on this one? What's up?
Bill Knights. That's what
Bill.
Did you know, if I remember correctly, he is a teacher Peacock now.
Probably.
I follow him on Instagram.
I believe he also just got married this year.
Really?
Yeah. I know it was very recent.
I thought he had kids.
I think he does. I don't think that changes it. All right, so we're going to do another sciencey one. What?
That is true.
This is the job of the science people.
But now you can do it. All right, so we've got atmospheric pressure. If you had migraines or anything yesterday, that's what caused it. There was a really big atmospheric thing yesterday that went all kinds of crazy for people. So atmospheric pressure continuously decreases at a rate of 19% per mile. And the pressure at sea levels is 30. And it's measured in millimeters of mercury, mmHg. I guess this is inches Hg. That's weird. I've never seen it measured that way, but that's okay. And we want to know the pressure at 10 miles above sea level. It does.
I'm in Earth space science, so I kind of have to do that.
So what this is telling us is, here we go. Beautiful ocean. Ooh. If we stand right here, those legs went the wrong direction. Ooh, my self-portrait. I am beauteous.
Blue.
Okay, my dad go blue too, but that's okay. All right, so there we go. We're on the ocean. That means it would be 30 in pressure. Pressure's 30. If we go up 10 miles, do we expect the pressure to be higher or lower?
Higher.
When I go higher, is there more air pushing on me or less air pushing on me? Less. So our pressure is going to be lower, actually. The atmosphere pressure is all about how much air is pushing down on you.
Oh, yeah, we haven't talked about that yet.
So there's a lot less air pushing down on us. Okay? So we expect this to be less. So if we think about our continuously, our PERT, what are we starting with? What's our starting amount? 30. That's the starting value that we know. Then we're going to have our E. What's our rate? How much does it change?
-0.19.
Yes. We're going to have a minus 0.19. And then what is the T we're going to use? 10. Because that's the unit of change that we have. We're changing the miles, so that's going to be the thing that changes. I know the equation says T for time, but it's all about the thing that's changing from the start to when we care about. And in this case, that's that 10 miles. So what is the pressure 10 miles above the surface?
4.49.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
I believe you did. I'm just double checking because genuinely do not know. Yes, 4.49. And that's in. That's the unit is called INHG. All that means it's very, very, very low pressure. Because think about 10 miles above sea level. That's really high. Really, really high. I believe that is technically space. next 12 weeks, not right now. Stop it. Okay. So we're not gonna have tons of the sciencey ones, but I wanted us to see a couple of them. And then I also know we had kind of a mentally draining day yesterday. So our chapter test for this chapter is next Friday. Monday, we're gonna do some graphing stuff. Tuesday is e-learning, so we're gonna have an online skills check on Canvas.
So what's on Monday?
Monday, we're gonna do some graphing. Wednesday, we're gonna do some graphing. Thursday, we're gonna review. Friday's a test. Tuesday is an e-learning day. We're gonna have Zoom classes, but it's also gonna be the we're gonna have an online skills check. So mostly you're gonna check in with me, and then you're gonna go do the skills check. Okay, just so we get that feedback before we get to our chapter test next week. What's up?
I did that right yesterday.
I just haven't changed it. I just got the grade in yesterday, dude. It was
Well, I
sitting at my
was-
desk.
I forget. I was like, did I do that?
You did. Okay, so this is just going through all those things. So we are going to have one more homework for this chapter. It's going to be graphing stuff. I'm going to walk you through it. We're going to do those Monday and Wednesday. And then Thursday review, Friday's the test. Okay? So the skills check is going to be all the things like we did this week, all of our compounding stuff. It's not going to have the graphing on it for the skills check. Okay? But we still got to do some graphing, but I was going to throw the beginning of the graphing at you on a Friday and then finish graphing on a Monday. That's mean. I thought the science ones were mean enough. Yes, dear. Yeah, absolutely.